Yeah, well, here with us is Aurora Diamondheart. She's here to talk to us about her experience with ETs and other things. Would you like to tell us more about where you grew up and how you got into what you do?
Well, I would say that I honestly always had an interest in things that were, off topic, aliens, magic, things that children are kind of naturally inspired by. But for me, it seemed to really focus on, there was a show called Sightings that I used to watch when I was younger. I was like obsessed with this show, and it was all about alien abductions. And I would just sit there, quite honestly, and I would terrify myself. Like thinking about this. And so every night for a long time, I would try to go to sleep and I would be like just worried, like, oh my God, they're going to come get me. And if they do, I'm not even going to remember anyway. So for a while there, I honestly had to tell myself, okay, I just have to choose not to believe in that for now until I can get through, to the point where that can become somehow not a scary topic because I still wanted to learn about the topic. You know what I'm saying? And I really think knowing what the things that I know now, I really think there was a reason that I was drawn to that topic. I think that people are usually drawn to this topic for a reason. It's because they have some information or some mission work that they're supposed to be doing in regards to this topic. So they really should pay attention to that. Like, were they attracted to this stuff when they were younger? Because I do think that I've been a lifelong experiencer. I think that it took me a long time to come up with enough powerful intentions to want to remember some of it, and so that's basically. Well, let me get back to so I chose not to believe it for quite a while, okay, until I got into, um, gosh, it was in my 30s at this point, was when Corey Good first came out, and all his information. And I heard it, and some part of me knew that some part of this was true. I'm like, there, okay, like it's time to face reality again. Like I'd gone through a lot of hardship in between my early 20s, I would say, and my late 30s. Okay, so I had had like a lot of dark nights of the soul. I had gone through a lot of healing that I had to do in order to get to this point to where my mind would be had enough space and capacity to hold the truth in itself and not be overwhelmed or too scared. Okay, so eventually, like I said, Corey Good's information came out to me, and a part of me just knew in my heart, like, okay, this is true. We actually are not alone in this universe. And there are things that are going on that we don't know about that this man is sharing with us. And I got two feelings at that point. I was overjoyed because yes, we're not alone. We can ask for help and there's actually going to be help there. And then the other one was, oh, we're not alone and they're not all good. And oh my God, how do we tell the difference? And how do we interact with, who the people we're supposed to be interacting with, So I had this, just epiphany, like how do I get in touch with myself and know, like, is this stuff happening to me? Like, is this why I was always afraid of the alien abductions when I was younger? And so I'd really been coming to to my awakening stage at that point. Like I really was waking up to who I am. I was really waking up to the truth of the world. And so I was doing this thing called A Course in Miracles. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that, but it's this workbook. It's a book, it's a study book, but they had this workbook at the end of it. And you do one lesson, okay, for an entire year. And I think this is what helped me build up my courage and strength to be able to handle such information about my own self. Like, was I involved in this stuff? It helped me root out fear, is what it was. It really helped me get to the root of who we all really are, which is, a fractal of God, and where there is God, there is no fear. So you don't need to have fear. If you want to remember these things, if you want to have interactions, the first thing you have to do is make sure that you get rid of that fear and you hold space of love in your heart, loving intentions, pure thoughts, loving intentions. Okay. So after a while, of me doing this Course of Miracles, and I'm like cultivating a connection with my guides, okay, and I'm more able to hear them now at that point and be able to tell the difference, okay, like when is it an actual telepathic message from them and when is it just, a certain part of myself, so to speak, because we all have these things. We all have parts of ourselves that got created through the traumas that we went through. Because living on Earth is a trauma in itself. Everyone has them. And so after I worked on this process of healing myself, I asked my guides, I said, if this is happening to me, I want to remember. I want to know and I want to remember. And so, gosh, it's hard to even remember how many years ago this was now at this point. I think it was about 5 years ago, quite honestly, 4 or 5 years ago. So one night, okay, I've been a very light sleeper ever since I've had children. Okay. And my daughter at that point is very young still. So I woke up that night to use the bathroom or something. It was about 3 in the morning. And I come back to my room and there's this bright light right outside my window. Okay. And it's so super bright. It's like someone had a spotlight just right next to my window. And but it wasn't loud like a plane. I thought, is this a plane or something like that? I'm trying to like look out to see like what's out there, and I could hear like a whooshing sound. It was like a silent whoosh, 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 whoosh. And my immediate reaction actually kind of surprised me because my immediate gut reaction was, oh no, not again. So some part of me knew like this was not the first time I had encountered this. I jumped into my bed and I pulled my blanket up over myself. And I just sat there going, closed, keeping my eyes like closed, going, just, I don't want to remember. I don't want to remember. I don't want to know. I don't want to remember. Just let it be over with. And I like at that point, I could feel like like they were taking my consciousness. That's what I know. That's what it was now. But back then, it just felt, to describe it to people, it felt like a loud shrieking kind of noise, like and everything in like my mind and stuff turned bright, bright white. Okay, so that was the first time. And I barely remembered that. I barely remembered that. I woke up the next day and it wasn't something that was fresh in my mind. But later on, my daughter's father was with me that day. And so he had said something and it sparked the memory. And I was like, oh my God, that's right. Because I remember I told myself when that was all going down, I had a slight thought for a minute, like, I got to make sure to tell him that this happened. Because we were both really into UFOs and stuff like that. He was the one that brought me the Corey Good information stuff. And so he said something and it triggered my memory. And I told him, I was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened to me. Like, I think a UFO came and visited me last night. I'm like, it was exactly how other people have described it. And I'm like, but I didn't remember. I chose not to. I got scared. I said, and here was my opportunity, to really remember. And so I told myself at that point, I told him, I said, if I ever have that opportunity again, I want to remember. I will be brave and I will keep my eyes open. Okay.
Hmm.
And I put that to the side and I forgot about it. So a couple months later, sure enough, I wake up. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. It's about always between like, it seems like 3 and 4. And there's that bright light outside my window again. And I said, okay, here it comes. Like, this is going to happen. I want to remember. And I sat there and I just relaxed. And again, the noise happened, and it went whoosh, 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 and bright light. It like felt like it was pulling me out of my body. I hit the ceiling, and now I'm like traveling on an elevator. Okay, and it's like we're going up flights or something like that. And after the elevator stopped, the doors opened, and I entered what looked like a loft business space. Okay, it was very much like just a working area. Like I can still see it laid out in my head, like even right now. Like over to the side we had countertops. Over here we had a table in the middle. We had another table that was over to this like straight ahead of me. Um, and there were three other humans there, and they were sitting at this table that was in the middle of it. And I walked over to them, and they said, "Oh, your daughter got here 30 minutes ago." And I said, "My daughter?" I thought it was my daughter, Sarah. Okay. And I ran over to this table and I found this baby crying. It wasn't a human though. It was a child. She seemed to be like 3 or 4. Um, she looked like a hybrid between a human and a gray. And I went and I picked her up. She seemed like she was scared. I picked her up and I was holding her. And as I was picking her up to hold her, my eyes caught on my peripheral vision a pair of gray feet that were not human feet, and it was just like in a movie almost. It was like my mind just slowly started to scan up this extraterrestrial basically. And here's the thing, I the reason that I wanted to remember so badly when I told my guides is because I wanted to be brave enough to fight that natural instinct that we all have in ourselves to fight or flight when we come into contact with creatures that are not human. Okay, so I wanted them to show me and to let me know what experience what that felt like, to see if I
Mm.
could overcome it. So as I was scanning up this gray alien who was wearing a lab coat and holding a board of some sort, and his head was kind of more bulbous right here. It was like it had like the brain part right here. So it wasn't really elongated like this. It was more back.
Mm.
And as I looked up, I freaked out for a moment and I dropped the child. And then I was like, okay, whew, okay, wait a second. I'm like, Cassandra, like this is happening. Like you're meeting an ET. It's a real life extraterrestrial right here in front of you. This is your opportunity to talk to them, And I said, hi. I was like, oh my God, hi. Like, and he did not like this. And he looked at me and he telepathically told me, don't look at me, don't talk to me. If you do that, I'm going to put you to sleep. And he gave me a little bit of a sense of what it was going to feel like if he knocked me out. And I got a little bit weak in the legs. And so I stopped looking at him. And I went over to the humans, and the humans were telling me that what we're here to do is to build these, it looked like little Lego pieces, but they look like little mini spacecraft. They look like pieces or parts that could go inside of like it just reminded me of that. It reminded me of like Lego UFOs, but it was different. It was like pieces that actually connected on purpose together. So we're building these little things, and and we did that for quite a while, and then it got to the point where we were going to have a break time. Okay. And so as we're having this break time, I'm like, you guys, I'm like, do you not realize what is going on here? I'm like, have you not heard of the secret space program and Corey Hood and David Wilcock? And I start like, I'm like, we have to look around and figure out where we're at, because there were these windows that were at the top of both sides of this large room slash loft business space. Okay. So I said, let's look out the windows and see. Let's get on top of the countertops and see if we can see what's outside these windows. So we go over to the right side. Okay. And when I looked out the windows, it was like a very deep purplish kind of color. And it almost looked like there was a storm even. And you couldn't really see much because of how dark it was, but you could see outlines of whatever it was that was out there, just hills or just general land. And so we went to the other side, and the other side, the sun was setting. Okay. And it was, you could see red sands everywhere. And I said, oh, like, I'm just looking around and I'm like, wow, we are definitely somewhere, like, I don't know where we're at, but we're definitely somewhere. And as I went to go get down off the countertop, this was the weirdest part of it for me. I always sleep with my jewelry on for the most part. I usually just forget to take it off. Some of the stuff I just leave on purpose. And as I got down off this countertop, there was another little ledge, and on this ledge was a box, and in the box was all of my jewelry.
Mm.
It had been taken off and had been put into this box. And I was like, why is all my jewelry off? And I heard from someone else later on that actually someone else had said something similar to the technology when they actually take you and abduct you, is that the jewelry sometimes interferes, so they have to
Mm.
take that off or something. I'm not really sure in the long run because I'm still learning about all this. So I noticed that the jewelry's gone, or the jewelry was off of me, and now our break time was over, and a little gray alien came in, and he's got these little cleaning supplies, and he says, it's time to clean up. And so we get out and we're spraying everything down and wiping it up. And I said to him, I look at him and I said, wow, I said, I'm not going to remember any of this, am I? And he actually looked at me and he got this like smug smirk on his face and he telepathically said, nope. And as he said that, like a pop happened and I was back in my body
Mm.
and awake in my bed. And I was like, what just happened to me? Like it was definitely, because here's the thing, I do think it was real. I think that when you get abducted and these types of things happen to you, I think somehow they're able to manipulate the consciousness state to where it feels like a dream. It feels like it could possibly be a dream, but something's a little different. Something's a little bit more real than normal, So that was basically the first time that I had some real experiences when it came to remembering what it is that we all probably go through. A lot of us probably go through. Because if you're even attracted to this type of information, to this channel, I have no doubt that there's something in you that resonates with this type of information, resonates with these types of experiences.
Mhm.
I think that they do that on purpose, even not to go on and on and on, but I really do think that part of how they even get us to almost to consent to the program is to just put it into our awareness that it's even a possibility,
Mhm.
and that kind of puts out the call in a way, because we're these little senders and receivers with the pineal gland and the heart itself, and it draws to us the experiences that we're meant to have, or that we're calling to have,
Mm.
you know. So,
Well, it's quite a story. It's very interesting.
That
Very,
is super interesting.
yeah. And when you picked up that hybrid child, was there an interaction between you and the child? Did it look at you, or was there a conversation of some kind?
it did look at me, because as I was picking it up, she was like grateful. She was like, pick me up. And honestly, the other alien thing caught my eye too much, too fast. That I think that the feeling I get, the sense I get, is that they only needed me to hold her for a little bit. There was some reason they needed me to hold her. They needed me to see her and pick her up, and that was enough. That was it. I
Mhm.
dropped her, and then we were on to the next task at hand, which was build these little pieces.
But what was this Grace mission? Why was he there?
He was
Acted
the
kind
one
of
that was
angry.
watching us in the corner. I think that he was just meant to be making sure we were staying on task and doing what we were meant to be doing. I think that I think he must have been writing down observations of some sort.
Mhm.
Like could it possibly even had to do with the fact that I was interacting with that hybrid child? Like it could be a list of things. I haven't honestly, if I go with my gut instinct, it was just to watch us and observe us and make sure that we stay on task.
So
It's funny. I loved your story because it resonated with me with a movie, a true story movie that came out back in the 80s called Communion. Have you ever heard of that one?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it, but I've heard of it.
You should check that out because your story resonates with that whole movie. How th- these group of people have been getting abducted since they were kids, but they would have these great aliens have them work on shit.
Yeah,
So you see them interacting this these kids working on tables of like weird shit and putting stuff together. And I thought it was kind of weird aspect of in the movie to hear a story and have you say that exact description. I was like, holy shit, that's
yeah.
okay. Especially if that's a true story. I think this guy who I think actually wrote a book about it too. I forgot his name. I have to go back to that. But no, again, that was very, very interesting. And yes, I recommend anybody who hasn't seen Communion check that out.
I absolutely will be checking that out. I'm always looking
Yeah.
for new good movies,
yeah,
so absolutely.
me
Hmm.
too. Me too. Can you describe this Gray a little bit more? Was he dressed, or what was he? His physique? What was he? What did he look like?
Um, the okay. Well, the hybrid child, I can tell you both what they really looked like in detail here. Okay, I wish I could have like the actual drawing of it, but basically, the hybrid child, she actually had some strings of hair. It wasn't like a full head of hair, but it was like strings of hair. It was blonde.
Hmm.
Okay, and her skin, I mean, it looked like when you see in the movies with the gray skin, and she had large eyes and a small little face right here. um she looked about the size of a 3 or 4 year old. She did have clothes on. She
Hmm.
had like a pink shirt and like just some regular blue um shorts.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's pretty much all I can remember about her. But the other gray alien, he had on a lab coat, a white lab coat,
Hmm.
and that was it. He just had on the white lab coat, and he was holding the board. And and I have seen pictures of his style of gray alien, because like I said, it's not the typical one that looks like just like the elongated head like this. Okay, he looks more like it was, here was his face, but his head went back like this more.
Mm.
Okay, so it was more bulbous, and it reminded me more of like a brain type of looking thing, like it. And
Hmm.
he was gray skinned. And then the last gray alien was just a regular little gray that people always describe like little drone alien ones that are little helpers, because he was only about 3-4 feet high, maybe 3 feet high, and just very very typical looking, very typical, like a plushie even that you would buy, like it. And yeah, that's the best description I can give of them. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Thank you. And was this
Mhm.
the only close encounter you had, or was there more?
This is the only one that I've had when it came to seeing a ship outside my, or I believe that was a ship outside with the noise and everything like that and the experience, absolutely. But I have had a few other encounters, basically in really deep meditations, where I've interacted with certain beings that I've requested to meet with. Um, I don't know if you want me to get into any of that at
Yeah.
all, but
Tell us more.
okay, sure, would love to. So shortly after those experiences, I honestly told my guides after that one, I was like, you know what? That was enough for me to remember. I was like, if that's what's happening, I get it, but you don't need to wake me up every time, like that's fine. So let's go on to some other experiences, I thought, and I started getting more into meditating. And so I was one morning, or yeah, I was really getting good at it. And one morning I decided to meditate for a few minutes. It was like, and the only reason I even remember what time it was is because of the weird time thing that happened during this meditation, where it was 8:25 in the morning. Okay, and I went into meditation, and suddenly I was like on a light ship, is what it felt like and what it looked like. It was literally bright white everywhere.
Hmm.
Okay, and there were lunch tables, and they were white too. And I was sitting there, and there were people that were scattered throughout the room, but I wasn't really paying attention to them. And then suddenly, some beings, or I thought it was a single being at first. They contacted me telepathically, and I've had several encounters with them at this point since then. So they always contact me the same way. They always come in with the same. They really make an entrance. They really love to make their presence felt and known with joy. And so they come in the room, okay, and he's coming from the side, and he's not even walking, he's like gliding. You don't even see him like doing this type of thing. He's just gliding. And I'm like, what in the hell? And he's like, I'm coming to see you, and I'm like, okay. And so he comes around the corner, and he comes right up to me, and he's wearing this blue jumpsuit. It's tight, and he's got this curly red hair, and he's got these little freckles and real pale skin, and he gets right up into my face, and he's like, I'm here, and then he goes, and not only that, and then a second one, identical version of himself, comes up behind him. And I'm like, it's twins, I'm like, oh my God, it's two of you, and so they always visit me into the both of them. Okay, sometimes they are able to shapeshift though. So another time that they came, like he completely changed his appearance, which I can go into that one in a second. We'll finish this one first. So I'm like so excited to see them, because I really wanted to have some encounters with some extraterrestrials, so to speak. And so like we're here, and they're like, and they're talking to me all telepathically, and they're telling me, and not only that, but we brought someone with us, and it was a type of alien that I wanted to meet, and it was I don't know what the name for them specifically is. I just know that they are similar looking to the Zulu warriors. If you ever seen some of those, and they're like really tall, and they have really dark skin, and they wear kind of tribal attire and stuff like that. And so they said to me, they were like, we're not alone. We brought someone with us. And then they usher their arm like this and guide my eye over. And sure enough, there's one of those. There's one of those guys there, and he's super tall, and he's got his outfit on, and I heard that their legs are a little bit backwards. That's why they do the stilts thing, okay, to represent them here on Earth. That's who they're representing, is this specific race of beings. And I heard that they were dancers, okay, and so I actually had asked them to teach me how to dance, because I wanted to figure out how to turn this system on, this whole biomechanical system here, so that way I could help more in the universe, help more here on Earth. So he's there, okay, and I'm just so excited, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I can't believe you guys actually brought him. And I had such a frequency of joy in my heart that it literally caused me to levitate off of the ground. And I literally I know now what it feels like, what frequency that you have to have and maintain in order to actually levitate and fly. And it's very similar, and this is crazy, it very much reminds me of the similar description in Peter Pan when they have the fairy dust, and you have to hold that happy thought. I really think it's a joyful thought that gives us that, but it's all about, that's why they put us all this density into us and this trauma and all that, because this is keeping us from unlocking these superpowers. So I had this feeling of joy. I levitated off the ground. And as I did that, it was time for me to go. They said it was time to go. Like we hung out here with you long enough. It felt like it was a couple minutes. I felt like this whole experience was probably about a 10-minute experience. And so he took me and they pushed me, and all of a sudden I was gliding on these light cords, and I could see them laid out through the entire universe as I was traveling back to home. And they said to me telepathically, they said, you see these light cords? They said they are laid throughout the entire universe. And we use these light cords to travel to you. That's how we come to visit you, is through these light cords. And as I went to go back into my body, they cleansed me with this rainbow light, is what they were doing to cleanse me. And they popped me back in my body, and I opened my eyes, and it literally only been 1 minute. And so I knew that this was a different type of experience. And I've heard this from other people too, actually, who've had similar experiences with these same type of ETs, and they also had a weird time thing like that happen. So they do something with time. They're able to do something with time. They're able to travel on these light cords. And I don't know. It was like definitely one of the cooler experiences I've had,
Wow.
And it was my first meeting with the twins. So
Now, it sounds like almost like a DMT trip.
and I was completely sober. I was like,
That's
like,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's amazing.
If I
I
would
heard
meet,
about
sorry, Dustin.
No, I was saying I heard about those people who do DMT actually get a chance to talk to extraterrestrials or get into the realm of meeting extraterrestrials or meeting whoever you want to meet, gods, spirits, ancestors.
If I would have the chance to meet some ETs, I had so many questions. I would ask them, how do you live? Where do you live? What does it look like? Before we started the podcast, Dustin and I, we had a conversation about what it might look like on an alien planet. Did you ask questions such as this?
See, that's the heartbreaking thing about all this. I get so excited when these things happen that all these thoughts just run out of my mind. There's like, no, I at the time, like now I'm more able to where I would definitely know what to ask. But I at the time I got so excited that I was just like, thank you for coming here. Thank you for meeting with me. And like I said, then they pushed me and it was like time to go. And this is how we traveled to see you, and thanks for asking us over here and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
okay, but
If I ever meet him again, though, I will keep that in
ask
mind. I
him.
will ask them that stuff. I will. I
Ask him.
promise.
Tell him Daniel from Germany wants to know how they live, what they eat. Do they eat? Do they have sex? Do they need to go to the toilet? Man, it sounds funny, but I think everybody wants to know if they live just like us or if they
I
live
think you'd be
completely different.
starstruck seeing an extraterrestrial for the first time.
Yeah, of course.
I think nothing was come out of your head besides fuck. I don't know. At least for me, I'm just like, oh
It's
shit.
quite a trippy experience. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that. Like it
exactly. I
is.
mean,
It's.
yeah, I guess you got to be right. Like if you're gonna have multiple experiences, and maybe knowing that you are, do you think you might have maybe a star seed or a indigo child in you?
Oh, I definitely think that I have some special DNA going on here. I definitely think that I came here with a mission and a purpose. And the first big part of that was just remembering who I am and what gifts it is that I can bring to help assist people. And you know, like like the thing that they told me after I had my heart activation, okay, because that's the thing, that was really the biggest turning point for me. I feel like this moment that I refer to as my heart activation was actually the beginning of, or the the completion of my soul braid walk-in, that experience that I had, which came during my daughter's pregnancy. I don't know. Do you want me to get into that at all? Like,
Sure.
you want me to just go
Whatever.
ahead?
Yeah,
Sure.
please.
Um, okay, so basically, and I guess this is really the moment and the whole experience that set me off on my awakening journey, was that I was pregnant with my daughter and I was struggling. I did not know what to do. I was basically on my own. My life was in shambles at that point. And I was coming to the realization um, that, every single thing, like parents and children, parents are so important when it comes to their example that they give their children, because those children, how they interpret their experience with you is how they will go out and mimic you and do the same exact things that you did. Okay. And so I realized, like, I really want to be better for my daughter. I said, if I'm going to have this baby girl who's going to go out there and she's going to mimic every single thing that I do, then I better give her the best damn good example that I can, for her to have a good life. Okay. And so I was crying and I was just pleading with God and saying, I can't do this alone. I can't. There's so much here. Like, I'm so broken right now. Like, I don't even know what it feels like to feel love in my heart anymore. I don't even know. They had showed me through a dream where I was in one of my old homes and a light came on in my old bedroom, and I was there with an actual friend that I had had when I was younger, and I experienced real happiness in this dream. And the saddest part about it was when I woke up, I realized that it had been so long since I'd felt that I didn't even remember what that felt like. I didn't even remember until they showed me in this dream what happiness really felt like. And so I knew, like, how are my children going to show love? How are they going to know how to feel happiness? How are they going to know how to feel all these good things if I'm not feeling it inside for them to see it and feel it and register that, like, this is, I was showing them how to be a fake person is what it felt like. So I was crying and I was just saying to God, please help me. I can't do this alone. And as I was saying that, a being appeared very briefly at the edge of my bed. Okay. There was a very tall being. They just peeked out real quick and then popped back down. And they told me telepathically, they were very telepathic, and they were telling me, I could only show myself to you for a moment because I didn't want to scare you. And to be honest with you guys, it was quite a scary look. Okay. It was what I believe now is that it was a tall white. It was a Draco human hybrid. I did not know that. I did not know any of this stuff at the time. This was before I even knew about the four good stuff and having my ET abductions and stuff like that. But they were very patient with me, okay, and they kind of reminded me. If you guys want to look at an image of what it kind of similarly looked like, it looked similar to, if you ever watched Doctor Who, the species of the Silence. Okay, they kind of looked like that, but their face was not as grotesque kind of looking. It was much more. It was more human looking. Okay, it had much more like more demure or fragile like features, smaller features right here, but the eyes were huge. Okay, and the being itself was really tall and it had an elongated head and white skin. And so they continued to talk to me and they said, if you want, I could help you. I could help you heal. We could become one. And if you agree to that, then I could help you. And I stopped and I started to think about it because some part of this felt so real, and I felt like this is a very serious question to be asking me, to become one with someone. And they led me through over, I would say, a 2-day process. They led me through some things. I had not meditated since my early 20s, and this was like this was like I was 36 now at this point. And they led me to meditate, okay? And in this meditation, I looked at my heart. And my heart it looked like it was like a big case of black obsidian. It was just completely encased in black. And the thing was, is when I first started meditating, I could see my guides around me, and they looked very scary to me. It looked like they had flashlights underneath their chins, and this startled me. And so I kept snapping out of the meditation, and they kept just saying, "Go back, go back." And so I went back, and that's when I realized that the light that was hitting them on the bottom of their chins was actually coming from my heart, because this black stone that had encased it had been cracking, and in the crack you could see this bright, bright blue light coming out of it. And so I knew, and I was like, what happened? What happened to me? And sure enough, they guided me again, and I found this stuffed animal behind my bed. It looked like Anubis, and behind Anubis, there was a heart, and the heart had Mickey and Minnie Mouse on it, and Minnie was giving Mickey Mouse a flower. And that's when they told me, they said, Anubis has your heart. Your
Mm.
heart has died. And later on, I actually came across some of Lisa Renee's work. I don't know if you know who she is. She does this work called the Ascension Glossary. And it just so happens that she has a whole article on the Anubian black heart, and how it's actually a result of the traumas in life that we go through, that if they're not cleared and they're not healed, that it's literally, the whole purpose of it is to crush the heart and to get it to stop feeling that love. Okay. So at this point, I knew that this being that appeared to me, that they were telling me the truth. I could feel it at the time, even though I didn't have that other information yet. I could feel it was the truth. And so I asked them one last question. I said, "Hey, well, what about Cassandra? So what about this body, and the consciousness in it?" I said, "If we become one, what happens to her?" So, because I don't think it would be fair, after all the suffering she's been through, to not continue to see the rest of it. And they were actually very happy with my response. At this point in time, I could feel the energy come off of them, like, yes, that was the right answer. That was the right question. And they were like, "No, no, no." They said, "If you and I become one, then one day, even when you leave this body behind, we will go on together forever, because we are immortal." And I said, "Okay, all right, I agree. Let's become one." And at that point in time, they took me inside myself, and they took me to my deepest, darkest childhood wound, childhood memory, and they broke my heart open. And I let all the tears come out that I needed to cry. And that was when I started my process of really healing myself and really cleaning up all the, what I refer to now is called dead light miasm, miasma. That's what it is. It's just like when you get a bruise, okay, like your heart, the traumas of heartbreak can form a bruise around your heart that can solidify and make it so that way it doesn't experience love anymore. It doesn't experience those joyful feelings anymore. It can't. It's too heavy. And so we started that process, and it took me 4 years to completely clear it all out, and then have my heart activated again, which I think it was a high heart activation, quite honestly. And I was able to feel love again. And I've been able to take that love, and I've been able to use it to make what I call heart wishes. See, because after the activation happened, they actually asked me to do a few things. They said, "You need to deliver these certain messages. If you deliver these certain messages and you be honest with people, you be upfront with people about this, then we are going to give you a gift." I said, "Okay." I delivered these messages. They weren't all easy to do, but I did it. It was basically just me sharing my truth with people. And after I did it, I was driving, and I could feel all of my guides come around me. Like I said, this was 4 years after my first meeting with my walk-in. Okay. And all my guides gathered around me. And I was just feeling about how happy I was that I got to have all these beautiful experiences. I literally had 4 years worth of dreams come true at this one event that I wanted to go to. I just wanted to meet my soul family. And at this event, I literally met my soul family, and I felt it, and it activated my heart. And I, and I was just saying, wow, I'm like the luckiest woman in the world. I've got to be. So this is what it's got to feel like, because it's what it is. All these things that people want, just a feeling. It's just a feeling of an experience. And I felt like the luckiest woman. And so my guides gathered around me, and I knew they had something important to tell me. And they said, "You are the blue fairy." I said, "Hold up, like what, the blue fairy? Like I can only one? Like I can't like." And they laughed at me, quite honestly. And they said, "Listen, just listen." I'm like, they said, "You can be the one." You know, they're like, "You are the blue fairy." They said, "So beloved by the universe that they wrote you into children's fairy tales." They said, "Your purpose here on earth is to make dreams come true." And then that's when someone behind me shouted, one of my guides, they said, "And how is it that you ignite the heart of the blue fairy so that she may go on to fulfill her mission?" And then in front of me, they said, "By making all of her dreams come true first."
Hmm.
And that was why I had all these beautiful things that started and then still keep happening to me, honestly. You know, my dreams, even literal dreams that I had, they come true. Every single time a piece of them comes true. And so they told me, they started really fast now because it was all telepathic, and they were going, "Time does not work how you think it works. It is more like a circle. Everything has a beginning and an ending, and this is yours ending beginning."
Hmm.
They said, basically, they wrapped it up with, "Now dream big." And that was the end. And I was just so filled with emotion and like joy and happiness. I was literally just crying my eyes out because, you know, I could just feel it. I could feel this truth. And I just thought, okay, well, what does this mean then? Like, how do I help make people's dreams come true? You know? And that's when I started discovering that when I go into my heart space and it's moved by someone's story, you know, I go in there and I make a request, basically. I make what I call a heart wish. And when I do that, I see it happen. I see it happen. If and when I go into this space, um, just really magical things start to be created, and it's undeniable to me at this point that this is the power of the heart, the human heart that we all have if we can just ignite it inside of ourselves. You know, and not only that, but I started learning how to become a manifester because we're already manifestors. We're already conscious. We already are creators, whether we know it or not, you know, and it's basically the negative belief programs that have been locking us up in our own minds that are making us create these same things over and over and over again, because that's really the point of the controllers of the world is they want to keep you locked in these negative belief patterns about life and yourself. So that way you keep creating it because they know that we're creators, you know? So as they're fulfilling all my dreams coming true and giving me all this hope and all this love and all this joy, it's breaking these chains off of my negative beliefs. So that way I can inspire other people to do the same. And that's how we're going to make these dreams come true for people. We're going to teach them their own power. We're going to teach them how to make these wishes for themselves, how to come into alignment with their highest timeline of love and joy. Because we all deserve it. And I believe that's what I'm here for, is to help remind people that that's, if you have a focus with your intention, if you have this focus of, I want to be guided to my highest timeline of love and joy, God will guide you there. He will. You just have to trust it, and you have to learn to trust yourself. You have to learn to build the belief in yourself by one little manifestation at a time until you can manifest bigger and bigger and bigger things. Like this house, this is what I manifested finally. My children and us, we needed a new home. We deserved to have a good home, you know, one that had enough space for us and was comfortable to live in. And it literally is exactly what I pictured. Literally exactly what I pictured. And I'm not alone here. I just know that other people can do this. So really, I'm the blue fairy. That's why I've got my blue hair. I'm here to really help people realize that what you want and what you feel in your heart, what your dream is important. Not everyone has the same dream. There's enough for everyone. You know, if I can just guide you in believing that and help coach you manifestation wise, we're just gonna lift this whole planet up. That's what we're here to do. We're ascending the planet, guys. It's happening. One person at a time, one heart at a time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well said.
Well said. I
Yeah.
was going to say
Wow.
that. Uh, great, great experiences. Interesting, very interesting. I have, but I have two more questions about the first close encounter you told us about when you were in that object. First question would be, did you see the actual object, how it looked, and could you describe it? And the second question would be, when you were inside the object, you told us about I think it was three other persons you saw, humans. Did you ever find out who they were, or did you try to find them afterwards or stuff like that?
Oh, I wish I could have been this inquisitive back when I first had the experience, because I absolutely would have definitely tried to keep their faces in my mind a lot longer than that. But no, sadly, I did not. I did try to see the object that was shining the light. I did try to see what the ship looked like, but I couldn't because of the way my awning is outside. It went over, and then I have a big tree, so they just had the light shining just straight down next to my one window. And I just assumed that they just took my consciousness and everything right out the ceiling. So I didn't get to see that. And like I said, it turned into an elevator is what it looked like, at that point. It turned into like some chum chum chum. Now I'm in an elevator, we're exiting, we're in this other place. Um, as far as the other people go, I know that it was two men and one female. I do know that. I can't, but honestly, I can't even remember their faces that much now at this point anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm guessing
Yeah.
in such a stressful situation or strange situation, you're not going for details or not keeping
Yeah.
details in mind,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Of course. It's a strange situation. Can't imagine being in a situation like this.
No.
No.
I was gonna say too, is the blue fairy into tarot card reading? I think
Oh, she
Daniel
is. She's very much.
Yeah.
Daniel
Mhm.
knows a little bit more about tarot too. But yeah, I was wondering if you want to do a little bit of a reading for one of us or both of
Yeah,
us.
absolutely. Absolutely. Let me grab the cards real quick. I also got which I'm gonna bring this out in my next live stream, but I also got some Adventure Time tarot cards now.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm super, super excited to use these eventually. Um, I looked through them yesterday, and let me tell you, like, my heart got so excited just looking at these cards, because the characters, I know all the characters that they have on the cards, for the particular ones, someone put a lot of good time and effort into creating this. You could really see the influences of the actual characters on top of what cards they gave them, which ones they listed. So highly recommend it to if anyone who is a tarot reader and likes Adventure Time. You won't regret it if you get these Adventure Time tarot cards. All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, we're doing you first. Current energies for you. Let's do this. Boom. Okay, so the first card we got for you is the Queen of Cups.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is a woman who definitely has very deep emotions. Her heart is definitely activated. Um, she's got ideals just pouring off of her, just electricity just pouring off of her. She's a woman who is very good even at seeing what the emotions that are in other people. Okay. But the thing that she's got to be wary of is that she needs to not get carried away with her own emotions when it comes to getting in touch with her own emotions, because that's the thing about the cups court cards, is that they can get a little carried away if they don't if they're having really strong emotions about things. But they're very definitely in touch with that. They're very in touch with their emotional side, and their heart, the nature of their heart, so to speak. All right, so let's keep going though. Let's tell us more about this. Okay. Tell us more. Okay, so the next one we got is the Page of Swords. Okay, so I like to kind of show them this is how I kind of read them. Actually, go on the other side. There we go. So I'm going to lay one more down here. Okay, so we got the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is a character who he's someone who is just learning how to use his sword, which the sword is thoughts, words, communications. He brings a type of intensity with his words emotionally, so he can be very much inspiring when it comes to how he chooses to swing his sword around. Okay, but the thing is, he has to be careful, is that he could come in maybe a little too hot too fast and take a few heads with him. So he's just got to be a little bit careful about that, about his excitement getting away with him when it comes to that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's go one more. Okay, so we got the Seven of Swords. Ooh, there we go. The Seven of Swords. Okay, so this card is about strategy. Again, for me, when I look at it, I think of this as someone who they're coming to the table, but maybe they're not bringing all of it to the table. You know, maybe they have some stuff that they saved that's behind their back, but they're bringing most of it. They're bringing most of their thoughts and most of what they're saying to the table. Okay, but yeah, it's just about knowing what it is that you want to present and what it is that you want to leave behind. So yeah, is there any questions that you have?
No, that's a lot of
Yeah.
that fit with how I feel. Especially, I'm a very emotional person, so
Yeah.
yeah, that fits me pretty well. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It definitely feels like the energy of the interview here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. It's like knowing what to talk about, not knowing what to leave behind. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess
Okay then.
it's my turn, I
Yeah.
guess. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
Daniel.
Your
I'm very
turn. Are you
excited.
excited? Are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay, here we
let's
go.
do this.
Let's do it. Oh no. Don't give me a hard time shuffling. Okay. Really like to make sure I mix up the energy, so just give me 1 minute while I do this obsessive shuffling that I do. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, we're locked in. Boop. Boop. First card. We got the Page of Pentacles. Okay. So for your main energies, the Page of Pentacles is actually a very lucky card. Pentacles are usually very lucky cards, especially the court cards and the aces. With this guy, he's got something special. He's got a special gift. He's been cultivating it. It's been slow to grow, but it's definitely something that's real, something that he needs to share with the people. Okay. The thing is that about the pages, or this Page of Pentacles particularly, is that he wants to be invited places. He wants to be called to people. He wants the people to call to him. But in this particular case, he's actually the one that needs to go to the people. He's the one that actually needs to take his message and his gift to the people themselves. Go to the gatherings. You know, let's keep going though. Let's keep pulling. Let's a bit more. Boop. Okay, we got the Two of Pentacles. We got some heavy energy a little bit here. Okay, so Pentacles is more about is the sign of the earth, so it's more of a grounding type of energy. The Two of Pentacles particularly is someone who is really doing a balancing act. They're really juggling between you know, the things that they're doing in their life, and it's in a way that they know they can't maintain this balance forever. Okay, but for now it's okay. It's not a real There's no real emergency here. Okay, but just know that eventually you have to figure out which way it is that you want to go. Okay, so let's keep going though. One more. Tell us one more off this page. Boop. Okay, we got the Four of Cups. All right, so the Four of Cups is a card that is about, it's a wondering if the grass is greener on the other side type of card. It's someone who they're daydreaming about something, and they're maybe even feeling like, oh, I wish I just had this one thing, then maybe my life would be better. That one missing thing. But the thing is that if they want that one missing thing, they just need to reach up and grab it. Okay, it's there. It's in your field. Okay, you need to just reach up and pick it up. As you can see, there he is. You see that cup is it's hanging out. It's right there. Like it's being handed to him, but he's kind of distracted a little bit. Okay, to see that it's being handed to him. And cups are always have to do with emotions and love of some sort. So if there's some acceptance or approval that you're waiting for, I would say the overall energies of this is saying go to the people. Like you have this down. You have a good back and forth going. Like you know how to handle yourself. And if you just keep sitting there and wondering about it, then you might miss your opportunity, because that's the thing about the Page of Pentacles, is that if you don't take your information to the people, then you could miss your opportunity. Don't let that happen to you. Reach up and grab that cup.
Mhm.
You know. So that's what I have to say.
Wow.
Wow, I'm impressed how
Yeah.
much it
Resonated with you, man.
resonates. Yeah,
I was
exciting.
gonna say, like, she is just reading your mind, dude. We're just talking about that. It's just
Oh, that's
wow.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's
That
really good
is-
confirmation. Thank you.
That
Appreciate
is
that.
pretty funny.
yeah. Thank you very much. Like I said,
Yeah.
fits
Yeah, thank you.
fits me perfectly. What you said. It's all. Yeah, I can see myself in all that. Yeah, great.
Wow.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
exciting.
Well,
It was,
if anyone's interested in getting a larger tarot reading from me, you can just email me at auroradiamondheart@gmail.com.
Yeah.
I do tarot readings and astrology readings and manifestation coaching.
Oh,
So,
cool. Well,
mhm.
maybe we should have you back on for some of those other topics too.
Oh, that would
if
be
you like.
wonderful. I would love
That'd be,
to. Yes.
that'd be great. Because
Absolutely.
if another thing, we like to do other groups, kind of group talks too, on the same subject matter, and maybe we'll invite you into one of those too, and you just
I
have your
would love
spout
to.
your
Yes.
blue wisdom.
Woo. Exactly.
yeah, and of course we will put all your information in the info box. So your YouTube channel, your Facebook, if you want to, and your email address, if you allow us, we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can share that with the guys watching. Yeah, it was very interesting, very exciting.
It was.
Yeah.
I had so
Yeah, I
much
had
fun.
a wonderful time. I know. I had a great time here today. I'm like, I just want, let's do another one. Let's go.
Yeah. Well,
I'm ready.
we'll do another one. I promise
Yeah.
you that. No, again, I was really looking forward to doing this episode for a long time since we booked it. So again, like when I
Yeah.
found you on YouTube, I was very intrigued by your look and just what you were into. And I was just like, dang, this girl's got something going on. I gotta talk to her. She's gotta be on my
Oh, thank
podcast.
you. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
we'll have you
absolutely.
back on.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes.
Of course. But let's wrap it up for today. Thank you for being our guest. And please stay with us for 2 more minutes. And for everybody else, thank you for watching and listening. And see you next time.